also known as Chris, coming at you live from the Dixon County area. I'm actually driving in to Nashville. I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of an update about what's been going on with the incident, the accident that occurred a week ago today, actually. So, I guess technically it was actually Sunday because it was after midnight, but it was part of Saturday's ride day. So, I kind of consider it a week from today. So, anyway, I wanted to give you guys an update. So, I filed a claim with my insurance company, which is Allstate. I still have yet to figure out what's going on. Lyft tried to get me to file a claim with them, and I was like, no way. There's no way I'm paying $2,500 for deductible. That's ridiculous. First of all, it was the guy's fault, I'm pretty damn sure. So, I didn't receive a citation, which means the cop didn't, at least at the time, did not consider me to be at fault. And I don't think I should be at fault because the guy shot out from a side station to cross the street, directly across, I don't know if you can see this, but this is kind of like similar to the road that it happened on. So as you can see, it's like a 2-lane highway with a middle turn lane. So that's exactly what happened. And the guy basically, as I got up, right up on him, shot across from my side, the driver's side, across in front of me to cross to a gas station right across the street from the other gas station, and he took off just at the moment when I was about to cross. So I saw him coming, and I started slamming on my brakes, but it just wasn't enough to stop from hitting him. But anyway, I just wanted to give an update to that. I just saw a comment from somebody, sorry. Thanks, man, I appreciate it, Lloyd. So, anyway, I've not gotten anything, but I have been called by like 100 ambulance chasers. Meanwhile, my phone has been blowing up since Monday morning, since after the accident occurred. Apparently it said something about, and they could be lying, I don't know, but so I turned Lyft down on the $2,500 claim. I was like, no, from what I understand, you guys are contingent liability only coverage in the situation where the app is on and there's no passengers and I'm not on the way to get a passenger. So you guys are contingent, which means that if my insurance company or the other person's insurance company does not pay, that you will pay. And I was like, $2,500, that's a ridiculous deductible, considering my deductible, if I have to pay, is $400. So anyway, I also have accident forgiveness on Allstate. If for whatever reason it turns out to be my fault, which I don't think it will be, if it turns out to be my fault, even, they'll do it. But if it doesn't turn out to be my fault, then they actually will, that will not affect my accident forgiveness for the year. So, or I think it's for the year. Anyway, I have to check into that. But still, so I have not received, I talked to an adjuster the other day. They took my statement of what happened, but I have not heard anything back. So I'm still driving around a slightly damaged vehicle. Nobody said anything, so it's not super noticeable unless you really look for it. So I'm out driving again. So what I wanted to mention about this weekend, though, anybody that's in the Nashville area, excuse me, who is a Lyft driver, has probably been inundated with diamond bonuses, per ride bonuses, and week or hourly guarantees. So I had a weekly guarantee again this week, and I can't get the rides. I've got half of what I'm supposed to. I'm supposed to get 60 rides. And my acceptance rating is not the best because there's a couple of times my phone was messing up. I don't know what it was. My phone was messing up. I could not accept the ride. It was like freezing up and stuff. And then and then by the time it unfroze, it was still flashing new ride across my amp. And then I couldn't get anything. So I don't know what the deal is with that. But it seems like Lyft is having some intermittent problems with their servers here in Nashville. At least I think so. So it's kind of a problem with that. But the reason I mention that is because there are so many Lyft drivers out, it seems like, that it's like impossible to get a ride sometimes. The primetime prices are almost non-existent. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. An Uber quest for the weekend, 65 rides for it. I didn't get one of those quests, but I have seen people who did get that, and that is ridiculous. However, I did see Uber surging quite a bit. So what I think is happening here, Lyft has flooded the market with all these guarantees. I think they didn't offer them to me, I guess, because they already offered me the weekly guarantee, maybe. They did earlier in the week, up until Wednesday, I had guaranteed hourly rates on Lyft, and I may have earned a couple of those if I can get my acceptance rating back up to 90%, which I don't think I can. But so I think they flooded the market because some of those guarantee hourly rates are up to $50. So that's a lot. You take one ride in the zone and are online for 50 minutes of that hour, then you can get $50. I mean, that's pretty good. And considering that there hasn't been much prime time, you're more than likely going to get some kind of money, because one regular Lyft ride is probably not going to exceed $50, unless it's a really long distance ride. But so I think that's enticed a lot of Lyft drivers to come out and drive. And as a result, other Lyft drivers, well, every Lyft driver, it seems like, is probably running slim. I mean, I worked 11 hours roughly yesterday. I think it was 11 hours. And I only had, I think, 13 Lyft rides. I did run Uber as well because my acceptance rating was below 90%. I don't have any guaranteed hours. The only thing I have is that weekly guarantee, which I'm probably going to exceed anyway, even if I don't get the 60 rides, probably, because I exceeded it last week, like way before I hit the 65 ride mark. I was at 73 rides and I blew it out of the water, like about $200. So I didn't get anything from that weekly guarantee. That kind of taught me a lesson, not to chase those guarantees necessarily. But it seems like it's going to be a decent weekend. I got a lot of Uber XLs, and I even got some surged selects. And I made a mistake the other day. I thought that I was kicked off of the select platform, but apparently I was not, because excuse me, apparently, because I had 4 accounts. If you recall, I had 4 accounts made from the hub, and they told me they were going away, so I never checked it. So I looked on there and I was like, wait a minute, I'm logged into the account that does not have select on it. So that's why it didn't give me the option to select. So now I've logged into the regular account that I have, which has X, XL, and select on it, and the select option came back when you get to choose which ride you want to accept. So last night I did about 256 or something like that. I had a lot of Uber gas charges, unfortunately. I do use the Uber card. I've deliberated for a long time because I felt kind of like Uber was trapping me with the fuel card, but then I started thinking, you know what, I'm going to be spending this money on gas anyway. I might as well get a discount, and usually I use a discount like at twice daily or something like that, and then I use the Uber fuel card, which gives me an even further discount, so I'm actually saving more on gas, in my opinion. I know a lot of people, including Nashville Lyft Zone, says it's a scam to use that fuel card, and that he just uses like a Shell credit card. I don't have a Shell credit card, and I really don't want to apply for one right now. I don't know, I just don't get gas cards. I usually haven't. So, but I think the Uber fuel card actually can be beneficial if you use it smartly. So, but a lot of my earnings were eaten up, actually. You know what? I can't remember how many rides a month to keep it. I'd have to look back at that. I just haven't paid attention to it much because I usually exceed the number of rides needed. Although lately I didn't have a lot of rides on Uber last week. I'm getting more rides this week than I did on last week. They haven't threatened to cut it off on me yet. But I guess the mental aspect of it, starting out in the hole, was kind of discouraging to me at times. But I kind of got over that, and like I said, I'm paying for fuel anyway. I'm going to pay for fuel anyway because I live way outside of town, so I buy a lot of fuel. So I'm going to be spending money on it anyway. If I can save a little bit more than I already saved, then hey, it's a win-win for me. So I do use the Uber fuel card. It has $100, I think it's, or $200 limit, I think. So if you exceed that, if you're not making any rides, they will cut it off in the middle of the week. Like I had one, because I usually don't drive Sunday, and so like from Sunday to Wednesday, I usually don't. Yeah, I mean, I love it too. It's quite helpful. A lot of people say it's a scam. It's a blah blah blah. Not really. I mean, it's not like I'm actually not paying any more for gas. I'm paying less for gas, so I don't see how it's a scam necessarily. I guess unless people are looking at it as a scam for a way to get Uber for you to drive more, which it's basically like a credit card. I mean, you just pay it off. So, but yeah, if you fill up your card of like $100 of gas over the previous week, and then you don't drive again until Wednesday or Thursday, they may send you an email saying that they've deactivated your card until you've made some rides, until you've done some rides, which I guess makes sense. So when you do a ride or two and that comes off of that balance, it will automatically reactivate you. But I guess, like I said, there was a decent sized concert last night in Nashville. LCD Sound System was at Municipal Auditorium, and there wasn't much of a surge afterwards. I got a Lyft Plus out of it at like a 25% prime time, but I think that was just a pure luck, because it didn't look like it really surged a lot after that concert. It did not surge during the Katy Perry concert, which was earlier this week. I can't even remember what day, maybe Wednesday night or Thursday night. I can't remember. I think it was Thursday night or something, but I don't think that concert sold out, and it really didn't surge from what I understand. I went home early that night because it's so dead. I just only spent like 2 hours getting rides, maybe like $50 or something maybe, so which was good. But so it seems like there's a lot going on this next week though. Okay, we've got a Foo Fighters concert Monday at Bridgestone Arena. That's going to be a huge concert. That's going to be sold out. Should be a lot of demand for that. And then on Tuesday, we've got a Predators game versus the Calgary Flames, I believe. And that's at Bridgestone Arena. That's going to be huge. And then Wednesday night, I think, at the Bridgestone, I think Kenny Rogers is playing, I think, is what I read. So that should be a pretty big one, too. So, got a very bad connection for a second, sorry. So Kenny Rogers, I think, is doing his farewell tour. Sorry, I got this cough and I can't get rid of it. It's like a allergy kind of cough. It's just like irritated in my chest and I just can't do it. But anyway, just can't get rid of it. But I mean, I've had some nice riders, really nice riders. In fact, just nice people. Haven't made a huge mess. I had some really super respectful Vanderbilt students last night that I took from downtown to Branscombe Quad over there at Vanderbilt. And some Vanderbilt students have the reputation of being snobby and kind of dismissive to the drivers and disrespectful of their property and stuff like that. But these ladies were quite nice. They were quite respectful and polite, and they didn't do anything bad or anything. So, I mean, they were great. So, there's a lot of people in town from, apparently from Michigan and Ohio areas. Apparently, they're doing their fall break now. So, Vanderbilt and Belmont and all the local schools around here have already had their fall break. So, it seems like there's a lot of people in town in Nashville for the fall break right now. I've picked up several groups of people with Plus Ride or XL Ride on Uber that were in town because they were on fall break. And a lot of birthdays, of course, and stuff like that. I did have a kind of a funny incident last night. I was driving in East Nashville and I got an XL request. So I turned around to go get it, and it was at Kroger on Gallatin Pike. Excuse me. And it was a lady's birthday party. And I think they were from Chicago. And there were 6 of them. And I have an XL, obviously, so I can seat 6 people. But the problem was they had groceries with them. So we kind of stacked all the groceries in here with us. And then we got caught by a train. And I don't know how many people have seen that train. Oh, yeah, no, he doesn't. I feel sorry for him. I don't know if anybody has seen this train. It's actually, the train is, let's see, what direction would that be? I guess that would be technically, looking at east, I guess it'd be south of Gallatin Road. And there's a train. I was going towards Jones Avenue, if you're familiar with that. So I ended up having to turn all the way around and get back on Ellington, because I was coming from, luckily I was on the side that Ellington was, so I went north on Ellington up to Trinity Lane and cut through that way. So that's a way to get around that train if you are trying to get on the other side of that train, because there's a bunch of dead-end streets right along that train intersection. So it's the intersection right after, I think it's on Douglas, right after you pass the Ellington Parkway. You can go either north or south on Ellington Parkway right there, and it's a railroad track right there. And it was actually just stopped. It wasn't even moving. So I knew it was going to take forever. They had frozen pizzas and all this stuff. So I flipped it around, like I said, I tried to look on the map and try to find a way around dead end streets and stuff, and it just wasn't possible. So I just shot back to Ellington Parkway, went north, got off on Trinity Lane, and then cut through from the north side, and it worked well. So that's a little tip if you guys ever get caught by that train on Douglas in East Nashville. So I'm actually heading in right now. I'm about to fill up, top off my tank, and I'm going to shoot into town, see if I can get myself a ride on the way in. I've got my Lyft app on right now in Dixon. There's no real action out here at all. I've got some cards on the way, actually, driver and passenger referral cards. I'm going to start passing them out in the restaurants and the gas stations and stuff around here in Dixon because you can't have one without the other. So they just recently expanded, as most of you know, to the entire state of Tennessee for Lyft. But we have to get the word out. A lot of people just don't realize it's even an option, and in rural areas it's really huge. I would hope that it could reduce some drunk driving incidents, but some people would argue the other way, that it really won't help anything. But if nobody knows about it, they're not going to use it. So, and if you get a bunch of passengers and no drivers, that's not going to work. And if you get a bunch of drivers and no passengers, that's not going to work. So you got to get both. You got to get both drivers and passengers to know that Lyft is available here. That, number one, it's a new source of income, a new income stream for people who are looking for a little bit more income. People can spread the word around the counties around here. Hickman and Dixon County is where I live. I live just south of Dixon County in Hickman County, so I'm really close to the Dixon. I'm in Dixon right now, actually. I'm really close to the Dixon line. I guess I'm about 8 miles maybe from the Dixon County line. So when I head north, basically I just run right into Dixon. So I'm going to start leaving some. If people will allow me, I'll leave these passenger referral cards and driver referral cards everywhere I can, so that I can spread the word about getting Lyft out here. So getting Lyft going out here. I've gotten one ride, but it was from a trucker who was outside of he was just in Dixon. There's a big lot up here at a pilot station, and he was just kind of needing to go to Walmart, and he called a Lyft. And I drove there from my house. It's about an 8-mile drive, like I said. Actually, it may have been closer to about 10 or 11 miles because Walmart's a little ways in there. I really took it for the novelty of it. I was just trying to see if I could get a ping out here, and it happened. So one day, and my Lyft app has been doing this a lot. So let me finish that, and then I'll tell you where you get the cards, Lloyd or Chuck. Sorry. I left my. I don't know if anybody else has had this problem happen or not. The Lyft cards, or the Lyft app rather, has randomly gone back online, like just randomly. I know I have turned it off, and I know it's off, and then I'll wake up in the morning, it's been on. Like it really screwed me over one time because it showed I had been on all night, or I guess all morning, all day, because I'd come home after I quit driving, and both the apps were completely offline. And then it showed I was online, and it gives you a 16-hour timeout on Lyft. But anyway, last night I had a couple of times, and one time when I was at home, I had a problem with it actually showing that I was online when I was at home, and I had no idea, and I heard the ping sound, and I was like, what the heck? And I went to check my phone, and I'd missed a ping because apparently it had gone online. But anyway, the cards. So if you go to your dashboard, and you have to do this from a browser. So if you go to a computer or a tablet or something like that, I'm not sure. I've never really seen it from a smartphone before. I may do a little run through of this actually with my little DU recorder with my little, picture-in-a-picture thing up there. I might do that coming up this week just to tell people about this. So Lyft apparently has a partnership with Vistaprint, and if you go to your page, your referral dashboard, there's a passenger and there's a referral dashboard down towards the bottom. Like when you go to your dashboard, you've got driving history and all that stuff, right? So if you go down below there's like a little line that separates it. It shows driver, or I think it's passenger referrals is the first one, and then driver referrals is the second one. You can actually create your own codes, which I did for myself, because mine is a little long. It's like Chris S something 837460 or something like that. But I created one that was MCD MCD0328, which is Music City Driver, and then my birthday. So MCD0328 is one of my referral codes. I actually got a passenger referral from that the other day. I just told it to them verbally, and they got it. Either that or they did it online. I'm honestly not sure what the source was. It didn't tell me. But so when you go there, you can look and you can create your own referral code. That's actually helpful if you want to establish a referral code specifically for the cards, because you can print the cards with whatever code you want on them. And if you go down, you should see a thing that allows you to order cards. And you go to Vistaprint's website. I think it's like a hyperlinked text inside one of the things talking about referrals. And if you go to that page, you should be able to link directly through there, and you get like a discount by going through Vistaprint. So you, for like $9.99, I think you get 500 cards, I think, or something like that. It's actually pretty decent. I've got some older ones. Let me grab one here. I'm not driving right now. I'm just kind of sitting at a gas station. So this is what they look like. So you got one side. It's got Lyft. And I created a... this one didn't go over so well because it's too long. But I created a code, this Music City Driver, with no I and no E in the driver. And that didn't fly over too well. I should never have done that. That was stupid of me. But and then on the back, it has, unlock your ride credits. It tells you to download the Rider app and all that stuff. Enter the code that's below, and then request a ride. So I was actually looking to see if they could add a QR code to it, but apparently you can't. That would be awesome if they had a QR code that had your link already in it, had your referral link, and then they could just scan with their smartphone camera, boom, and you're already on there and your referral code's entered. So that would be awesome if they could do that. But I guess I was thinking too far ahead of them. But they don't allow you to edit. So basically they've got a bunch of different... Yeah, I did tell my insurance I'm a driver because I have rideshare coverage, gap coverage on my Allstate policy. So, and that's one thing they were looking into the legalities and all that stuff of that too. I hope that doesn't screw me over. We'll see. It shouldn't, because I'm not at fault, like I said. So the other guy's insurance should pay me, should pay for repairs for my car and his, and it shouldn't be a completed claim on Allstate, but we'll see. Because like I said, the accident forgiveness would kick in anyway and wouldn't make my rates go up and everything, but I'd rather not have to use that right now. But like I said, if they could put a QR code on those cards, it would be really helpful, because people just take out their smartphone, turn the camera on, and the cameras nowadays, at least the ones I've seen, the app itself recognizes QR codes when you have one on the screen, so it'll automatically it'll detect the QR code, and then it will automatically send you to the website that you need to go to. So that would be really helpful for those cards, but maybe they'll make that edit in the future. Anyway, guys, I got to get some gas. Yeah, the rideshare gap coverage thing, I highly recommend everybody get that if you do not have that. I honestly, and like I said, looking back, I did the honest thing. I called Lyft and told them I was online, but I did not have a passenger, was not on the way to get a passenger, so that was helpful, actually, because if they had covered me like that, then my insurance company probably would have made me go through Lyft, which could have been a $2,500 deductible. But since I was just online and didn't have a passenger in the queue waiting for me, and I didn't have passengers with me, it became contingent liability, which is only activated in case my insurance or the other person's insurance does not cover it. So I hope that doesn't screw me over. Like I said, the adjuster said she's going to have to consult with a rideshare expert or something that they have. Just said, I hope it doesn't screw me over. We'll find out. Hopefully this next week I'll find out. But I've had so many people calling me. It's ridiculous. These ambulance chasers have been calling me out of the woodwork saying, did you know that you can still have symptoms from an accident 3 to 4 weeks after you had the accident? Setting up a meet for drivers in Nashville. There actually is a Facebook group. It's a secret group, because there's several other groups that are in Nashville Facebook, on Facebook for Uber drivers and Lyft drivers, but they're just closed groups. They're not secret. There is a secret group that I'm a part of. I'll have to talk to you guys some more before I can allow you to. I know it sounds elitist or whatever, but we had a problem with, there's a tabloid reporter here in Nashville that's called themselves, I'm not even going to tell you the name because I don't want to give them any publicity. But anyway, they call themselves a news outlet. And they've just reported a whole bunch of stuff. Like people, and I admit, the people that did this it was kind of foolish for them to do it. But they posted like pictures of this guy passed out on the ground right outside that they had dropped off. And he passed out in the grass and they just left him. Stuff like that. Anytime somebody posted anything negative about Lyft or Uber as a driver, they would put something on there and like make this story up and attack them basically over it. They would dig into their social media profile and like pull out all this stuff that they've said, and like it was bad. It was like a smear campaign against Uber and Lyft drivers. So we got tired of it because they were taking pictures off our page, off our posts on that closed group, and then they were creating news stories about them. So we got tired of it, and myself and some other drivers got together. I want to give props to Sean Reed, who's actually a Lyft and Uber driver here in Nashville, and he got the idea to go ahead and do a closed group, and he did that. We've had a couple of, like, one meetup for that, and we've talked about doing another one. The issue is always the timing. Excuse me. God, this cough is driving me crazy. There is a Lyft group that meets every Thursday, usually at the Mojo. It's that Mojo Grill place, or either that or they meet at Broadway Brew House over on Division Street. So they meet up on Thursday nights at like 7, and I don't do that because that's actually one of my busiest times is Thursday nights because of Vanderbilt and stuff. So I don't really have time to go there and just kind of hang out on a Thursday night when I'm supposed to be making money. So some people do that a lot, and to be honest, the people that were in that group kind of rubbed me the wrong way because they were acting like basically that Uber drivers were scum or something, and that they were not going to associate with any of them, and they only all drive for Lyft, and if you mention Uber they get all upset. It was kind of weird. It was like a cult or something. It's very bizarre. So I didn't really go to any more meetups after the first one. I was part of their group on Facebook too, and it was just kind of, like I said, it was a little overzealous devotion to Lyft, and I was just kind of like, okay. And I can understand Lyft has a better perception, better image than Uber, but blind devotion to one or the other, in my opinion, is misguided and silly. I don't see why anybody would dedicate themselves primarily to Uber or Lyft, given that their primary motivation is to make money off of us drivers. So one may do it in a nicer way and not have as many controversies surrounding their image, and that's good. I mean, I appreciate companies that don't have a scandalous background and don't have, sexual harassment and all that stuff. Thank you, Lloyd. I appreciate it. But yeah, I definitely would think about setting up a meetup for drivers in Nashville. I just got to be, like I said, we got to be careful in Nashville here because of that tabloid guy. He's moved on to other things now, at least that I can tell. I occasionally peek at the site just to see, and there's a couple that are, and guess what? They're coming from that closed group. So there's a mole in that group who's either created an account pretending to be an Uber or Lyft driver, or they are an Uber or Lyft driver, and they're reporting other drivers, and I can totally understand that. I get mad at some of the drivers sometimes I see driving like maniacs and tailgating people and cutting people off and doing U-turns in the middle of Broadway just like the cabs do. And there's a lot of ex-cab drivers that are Lyft and Uber drivers now too. So, yeah, I know, exactly. I don't care where it's coming from either. I can understand it. I can understand it, I just can't do it myself. I can understand the perspective of devoting yourself to Lyft because you believe they're a better company and all that stuff. But the bottom line is, all people who drive for Uber or Lyft are doing this for a reason, and that reason is money. So don't delude yourself into thinking that Lyft is just totally devoted to drivers and that they will pay them whatever. You still got to earn whatever you get, and they take just as much as Uber. And who knows, there may be some stuff that comes out eventually about Lyft that people didn't know about. They kept under wraps, and nobody's paying much attention to it because they don't create a lot of controversy because they don't have a jerk like Travis Kalanick running the company. So there's that. So I just can't see myself devoting myself to Uber or Lyft. And lately, I do admit, and I told Rashawn this, I was like, you know what? It's actually kind of less stressful taking just Lyft for some reason. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's a psychological thing where the color pink makes you feel like it's nicer and that the people are nicer and all this stuff, or whether it's the app design or something. I don't know what it is. Like some lonely period. Yeah, yeah. You know, you may be right, actually. That could be right. Is that your real name, Anal? Very interesting name. Um, yeah, exactly. 20 an hour. 20 hours pretty good, I think. Are you doing XL or just or Lyft Plus or just Lyft and X? I'm just curious. So I'm actually about to have to get off this live stream because there's people waiting for the gas pump. Yeah, exactly. We're independent contractors. Okay, so you're doing XL. XL lately, I've been shooting for trying to get 25 to 30 an hour. I consider myself to do well if I do 25 or to 30 an hour. 30 is like my gold standard. That's what I would love to be at every time, is $30 an hour. But it doesn't happen all the time. Last night I think I got about 23 and some change an hour. Of course, that's before depreciation, that's before gas, it's before maintenance, etc. So after all that's taken out, I may be making probably less than $20 an hour. But I consider that to be a good, if I look at my, and another guy mentioned this, and it's actually kind of a good rule of thumb. If you were driving and you have your trip meter on, you can tell how many miles you're driving, and if you don't make at least $1 a mile, then you may be doing something wrong. That's usually a good rule of thumb. Anyway, guys, I'm going to get off of here for now. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you are looking at becoming a Lyft driver, look down below in my signature, and my codes are listed down there. And you guys, I hope you have a profitable night. It should be a really nice night as far as weather goes. I hope everybody gets some good rides tonight. It shouldn't rain or anything, but still be careful out there, obviously, because I had my accident when it was not raining at all. So you guys be careful, be vigilant, and you guys have a good night out there, and I will hopefully talk to you soon. Have a good night.